Well, hello there. This is not a cheerful morning for us. We're here at Dougie's hut again, and we're gonna head down to the river now and see if we can cross. I didn't sleep very well last night with anxiety about this river, and this morning has not been easy to say the least. I'm doing like all of my most patient, most expert parenting, and it's been very, very, very challenging. You know, doing these long distance trails, it's not just like the physical or the mental side of it, like as a hiker, but like as a parent too. You have to manage your kids' emotions, safety, food, water, health, attitudes, behavior, and that can be really, really hard in everyday life and even harder out here. So this has been a really, really hard morning. We've just crossed the two first creeks and they're like basically as high as before. We're headed towards a river now. I hope that there's some other hikers there who are also needing to cross so we can work together. Here's our first kind of clear view of the river, and yeah, it's high. It's flowing more clear than it was. Here's the river. Does it look any better at all? I'm not sure it does. We'll walk down the banks a little bit. You can see here where the river's flooded its banks and been all up over this. It's all there, here. All right, the river divides here, so we crossed that little section. Oh, that didn't end up working. We got across to that little island, and I tried to cross on the other side, and when it got above my knees, the current just wanted to sweep. You know, I couldn't plant a foot. It just picking me up. Came back before I got swept in, and we crossed back over, and we're fully on this side again. We're going south right now to see if we can find another part where the river braids and cross there, or attempt to. We're walking south along the river now, and I'm looking kind of at every place where the river braids, seeing if it's shallow enough for us to get across there. But every time there's like a deep channel that prevents us from crossing there, and then it's still raining on and off. So this is really what I was worried about, and it's very disheartening. Hi, it's me, Goose. It's quite a few days in the future, and I'm going to tell you about this river crossing. It was actually a little bit too traumatic to film much at the time. And just after this, my phone broke, so I don't have a ton of footage. What happened was that last scene you saw, we walked up on the river, and I decided to attempt to cross there because the river at that point was shallower than we had seen it, and it was pretty wide. And that said to me it might be shallow like the whole way across. I unclipped my backpack, but I kept my backpack on, and I used my trekking poles and eased myself into the river. It was between knee deep and thigh deep, and the water was very swift, especially towards the bottom of the river. But I really dug my poles in and dug my feet in, and I managed to get across the river. There was a couple times when I felt like I might fall down, but I made it across. When I got to the other side and I looked back at the boys, I dropped my backpack and I realized that I never wanted to cross that river again because the current was so strong. With every footstep, I felt like my feet were going to get swept out from underneath me. But now I was on one side of the river and the kids were on the other side of the river. So I knew that I either had to cross back to be with them or somehow get them across. All right, I crossed right here. I don't know how to get them across. Oh my God. I went back to the same side of the river as the kids. It was harder to go back, and I don't know if that's because I was leading with my less dominant foot, or I'm not sure why, but it was harder to get back to them. We needed to get out of there. We were running out of food, so we needed to go one way or the other. I knew that Buttercup was not strong enough to walk across. His feet would get swept right out from underneath him. He only weighs about 45 pounds these days, and my pack, when it's very full of food, is almost 45 pounds. So I knew I could carry him. So I had him drop his backpack, and I had him get on my back, like a backpack, and really latch himself onto me. And then I used my trekking poles, and I made both of us get across with him on my back. And, it was really difficult and very scary. Again, there was a couple times when I felt I might fall in, but we got across. So I dropped him. So now just Sonic and the two kids' backpacks were on the wrong side of the river. I dropped Buttercup and I went back to get Sonic. Again, getting across in that direction was more difficult for me. And at that point, especially in the middle of the river, where the current was very strong, my feet just got swept right out from underneath me, and I went into the river. And of course, I didn't have a backpack on, but, I still had all my clothes on, and I went in up to my neck. I kind of just used my poles to push me back up. I fell back in, tried to push myself up again, fell back in. The river was trying to flip me over and carry me downstream, but I just swam for the shore. And I was only a couple strokes away from the shore. So I made it back to the shore. At this point, both of the kids were screaming. Buttercup had turned around and faced the other direction when I looked over at him. And I asked him later, when I looked at you, why were you facing away? And he said, because I was scared and I didn't want to see you drown, Mom. So, but I was like, I'm okay, because I didn't want to scare the kids. So I put on Buttercup's backpack, and Sonic and I did the technique where you put your arms behind each other's backpacks and you hold on to each other's waist straps, and you unlock your sternum strap, but you keep your belt strap on. And that way you're kind of locked in as one unit. And we each used one trekking pole on either side. And actually crossing with Sonic, with the two of us, was the most secure that I felt, even though our feet were kind of getting tangled in each other because the river kept sweeping our feet down. We made it across. And so then the next scene is immediately after we made it across, and then my phone stopped working immediately after that. And for whatever reason, after I was safely across with both of the kids and all the backpacks, I just felt this enormous release of emotion. I don't think it was relief exactly, but it was just an enormous relief of emotion. And I just lay on the bank of the river and just sobbed for 5 minutes. I'm not even sure why. We made it across. I fell in. I got the boys across. I fell in I went up to my neck. I was swimming, but we made it. Oh, that's a full rainbow. End to end. That rainbow is leading to the TA.
Well, it literally is. I can see the sign. I can see an orange. Oh my God, that is. No way.
We went about a mile south to get to that very sketchy river crossing. So now we're re-hiking that mile on the other side to get back to where we began. It might be a mile and a half. And it's mainly through these fields and tussock.
We just got back onto the TA, and after that very, very, very ugly river, we're now on the trail for, I don't really know, 14 miles till we reach our official stopping place, I think. We all made it out of the river alive, so that's good.
We just stopped in the sun because I don't know how much more sun we're gonna get today, and I'm just trying to dry off a little bit. I was really wet after dipping the river, so I'm just trying to let a little bit of the moisture evaporate in the sun.
This is a tour of Lower Wairaki, whatever it's called. This is a very well-made chair and a stool. Here's an axe. And whoa! Oh my god, that's actually nice. Nah.
Nice.
This is it. This has to be some of our best property. Yes, that's it, like somebody's property.
I'm excited to report that my phone is up and running again. This is good news. This is like a little bit of good news for today. We're at Lower Wairaki Hut, so that means we only made it about 5 miles today, but it really took a lot out of us to cross that river to fall in, and I was battling the cold all day. It was up on the ridge. It was cold and windy and foggy. So when we got here, we just started a fire and had some food. I did manage to burn my thumb in the fire. Right there. Can't really see anything on camera, but it did make a little blister. So that's kind of painful.
My impression of the day was hard. No, it was not fun at all. We needed to cross rivers, which was a no-no for me, because I don't like getting wet that much. Yeah, I do not like today. So the story of the river. Basically what happened is at the river was, we couldn't find an exact spot to go onto that was actually safe. So we had to hike about 1.5 down the river to find a safer spot. When we got there, we found this tiny little spot that looked a little bit calm. So we decided we can try that. So when Goose did it, she did it perfectly fine. Then when she came back, she didn't come with her backpack because she did that on purpose to get Buttercup, who dropped all his gear. Then she took Buttercup to the edge, and then she came back. Goose got Buttercup across because she gave him a piggyback ride, and he was holding on for dear life. And when I say that, I mean it. It was very fast. She dropped Buttercup off, and she came back and tripped and fell into the water. And she was practically just swimming, but in freezing cold water. And the water could have taken her away, and we would never see her again. But she's here right now, and after she fell, she cut her fingers by accident on some of the rocks while trying to get back to us, well, me. And then after she got back after the fall, she got me, put on Buttercup's gear, and then we went across the river, but it was very, very cold, extremely cold.
So I cannot imagine how much pain she went through during the swimming.
Did you feel like you were going to fall over?
I felt like I was going to fall over. There was a couple times where I just thought I was going to have to fall. The current was very, very strong, so it almost knocked me off my feet and it almost took my pole.